Hey YouTube, vSecure here. Today I wanted to cover port channel. So in this video we're going to configure port channel between our two switches here, switch 1 and switch 2. Now what port channel does is it bundles multiple ports between a switch where they act like one logical link instead of individual physical ports. So the main benefit to this is the increase in bandwidth between switches, and since the port channel link is just one link and not individual links, there is only one instance of spanning tree between them, so there are no block ports anymore. So to configure the ports, it is best to configure the two interfaces at once, or in multiples of 2, so like 1, 2, or 2, 4, 8, etc. To do this, we'll use the interface range command on the two ports that are connected between switch 1 and switch 2, which I have as interface 2.2 and 3.2. So then the command to configure varies depending on the protocol we would like to use to configure port channel. So the two main options are LACP or PAgP. The first, LACP, stands for Link Aggregation Control Protocol. It's the open standard version. PAgP, on the other hand, or Port Aggregation Protocol, is the Cisco proprietary protocol. Most use LACP since it's the open standard when they're going to configure these port channels. However, both will negotiate the links to make sure the interface is part of the port channel. Now the third option is to forego negotiation and just bring port channel up. Now the issue with that is if something is miscabled, you may not be able to determine it, and that can cause issues. So once a protocol is chosen, the other options would be, do I want to actively negotiate the protocol or passively listen to a protocol and enable if the other side is actively negotiating it? So if both sides are active, port channel comes up. If one side is active, the other side's passive, port channel comes up. If both sides are passive, port channel will not come up. So we're going to enable LACP. So that command is in global config mode. It's at the interface level. That's why we have to use the interface range command. And interface 3.2. The command then is channel group. And then you have to give it assign it a number. One nice way to do it, if you can, obviously you can pick any number, since I'm using switch 1 and switch 2, I like to just do 12 then. And then mode. And here's the few options. So since we're doing LACP, we're going to use active. If we wanted to use PAgP, we could use auto. And then, like I said, for no negotiating, just turning it on, we would use the on command. But I'm going to go with active. And now we're going to go to switch 2 and do the same commands. Interface 2.2 and interface 3.2. Channel group 12, mode passive. So we just now created the port channel. It'll take a moment for it to come up. Oops, helps if I can spell exit. We'll do a do show int status. And we see that it's up, it's not doing anything. So here is where we have to actually configure the port for whatever we're going to use it for. And in our case, we're going to create a layer 2 trunk between switch 1 and switch 2. So before we would do that, the interface, the individual links, now we'll do it at the port channel. So we type interface port channel 12, and then our standard commands that we would use before, switch port trunk encapsulation .1q, switch port mode trunk, and then switch port trunk allow VLAN 10, 11, 20, 100, and then we'll give it a description, port channel trunk to switch 2, and just to make sure everything's there, we'll do the do show run interface PO12, and there it is. And we're going to kind of cheat and go now to interface port channel 12 here. Copy the commands over, and we'll give it a description of port channel trunk to switch 1. And now if we come over here, we can check to see, we can use some of our commands to verify everything is working properly. So one of the great commands we can use for port channel is show ether channel summary. And here we can see it gives us a lot of good detail. This will show us that yes, we're using LACP. Here are the ports that are in it, and here's the current state. Right now we are in the down state. Let's see what we're saying over here. Show ether channel summary. So we're in a down and a suspended state. And here, suspended. So let's take a look at interface 2.2 and 3.2. So one thing I've noticed in the past before was some of these you have to shut the interface down and then no shut the interface. So let's just see if that'll fix our little issue here. Give it a second for it to come back up. Let's do show channel. Alright, so let's now go over here. Ether 3.2 is not compatible with port. So let's check. So what's supposed to happen, if we look here, the configs are supposed to be pushed to the individual interfaces. So let's see. For some reason they're not being pushed down with the commands. This might be a little glitch with iOS. So let's just see if we can, like I said, this is definitely not something you should have to do, but I'm going to give it a try and see if that fixes it. We're going to copy these configs over. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. And just see. And then we're going to go to shut and no shut these really quick. I'm going to do the same on this one. And we'll check the summary. So now we're in a wait and a hold, it looks like. And now it's up. So it's extremely weird. That obviously should not happen. It should, when you're doing the commands under the port channel, it should push it directly to the physical interfaces. That's one of the benefits of having the port channel. So I'm not sure why it did that here, but it could have just been a glitch with the IOU. I don't believe I did any order of operation issue, so that's okay. Alright, let's get back to some of the configurations. Now, when we're doing the initial setup between the interfaces, there's a couple other options that we could do to make sure that the physical interfaces use PAgP or LACP. So what we would do on the actual interfaces, we can actually go to them really quick. The command is channel protocol. And here you have the option to say LACP or PAgP. So when you're first setting this up, if you want to make sure you use LACP, you will only be able to do that here. So this command isn't necessary to configure for either protocol. It's just an option that can be used to make sure someone doesn't accidentally enable LACP on one side and maybe PAgP on the other. So this is just a little nice thing to to have. It doesn't make any configuration changes. Now, one way we can optimize port channel is to tell it what method it should use to load balance between the ports. So when we're passing traffic, it's going to load balance between ports. The switch can use many different methods depending on the platform. On the IOU that I'm using, the default is source XOR destination IP address. So XOR is exclusive OR. So this could be source IP or MAC, destination IP or MAC. Source, exclusive OR, destination MAC, and some will also do source, destination IP and port. Let me show you, it might make a little more sense. We can do port channel load balance. I'm just going to do the question mark so you can see. So see, these are the options of how you want to load balance. Now, to choose which one to use, one needs to know the traffic that will be going across the interface. If most traffic is going to be leaving the subnet, destination IP is not a good choice, since the destination is always going to be to the gateway, and that is the same IP. So knowing the traffic flow is important. To change the load balancing, the global command like I have here, port channel load balance, and then you can choose your option. And then to verify what you're running currently, you can do show ether channel load balance. So here I'm source destination IP address. Now, what we've been configuring this entire time has been a layer 2 port channel. So these port channels can be configured as layer 3 as well. To do that, the physical interfaces have to have layer 2 turned off prior to making the port channel. So you no switch port the interfaces before running the channel group command. And then that would make it a layer 3 port channel where you can assign an IP address. So that's really the only difference command-wise, is just making sure before you use that channel group command, you use no switch port. So let's just, we won't make any changes, but helps to be in config mode. And actually, you know what, let's go to one that's not really used. You just have to use this command first, and then you can use the channel group command. So that concludes configuring port channel. Not too bad. In the next video, we're going to go over DHCP configurations and DHCP snooping. Alright, thanks for sticking around.